On Friday the 13th, April 2029, an asteroid large enough to fill the Rose Bowl as though it were an egg cup will fly so close to the Earth that it will dip below the altitude of our communication satellites. We did not name this asteroid Bambi. Instead, we named it Apophis, after the Egyptian god of darkness and death.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
Oh, I love that quote because it had Egyptian stuff in there, it had darkness, it had death. I mean, what more do you need?
Do you know who it was?
Of course I do.
Well, go on then.
Well, I reckon it was NDT. You might know him as Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Correct.
Happy birthday, Neil. 1958.
He's 60 today.
Incredible stuff.
So is Andrei Kuipers.
Ah, yes.
And we met Andrei Kuipers at S-Tech a couple of years ago. He was the only astronaut we didn't interview.
Dutch physician and amazing astronaut.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, chaps.
Both 60.
Well, Matt, it's Podcast 101.
Podcast 101, and what we haven't done is got any Space 101s together, have we?
Well, Matt,
but we'll do it some other time.
Welcome to Room 101 in space. Matt, what would you put in Room 101 space?
I think the most annoying thing about space is...
it's just really expensive. I wish I could just put on my contactless card, like an Oyster card. I want to go to the moon.
It's the tyranny of the rocket equation. That's what I want to put in Room 101.
Okay, they're both going in. What's happening, Matt?
This week, by the time this podcast comes out, actually, Commander Drew Feustel will hand over the station control to German astronaut Alexander Gerst. This is actually happening right now, Jamie, as we speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Expedition 56 Commander Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold, both of NASA. Ricky! And Oleg Artemiev will be en route back to the steppes of Kazakhstan.
They will be, yes. Well done, chaps.
Yes, in their MSO8, not the one with the hole in it.
Enjoy the handover.
Yes, so they should be back by the time this podcast comes out. That will just leave Alexander Gerst, Serena Anon Chancellor, and Sergei Prokopiev all on their own on the ISS.
Do you reckon they'll be loving it, or do you reckon they'll be really sad?
I reckon it's
more room.
I reckon it's more room, yeah.
So,
I reckon, yes. But maybe, actually, I wonder if it's more dangerous. And I wonder if there's more work to do when there's just three of you. Don't know.
Do you reckon that they start secretly eating some of the food of the astronauts that are coming up? They'll be like, oh, we're really sorry, mate. We don't know what happened to your bacon roll.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
So MS-10 goes up on October the 11th with Alexei Ovchinin and Nick Hague. So it's just the two of them. So there's only going to be 5 astronauts during Expedition 57.
Good luck, lads.
And in the spirit of the IAC 2018 in Bremen, which of course we've got serious FOMO over.
We have.
Hi to everyone out there. We're sticking with international cooperation with the Germans. So early this morning, Jamie, as we record this, Mascot landed on Ryugu. So yeah, Mascot, Japanese and German collaboration, another rover that's landed down on the surface of Ryugu. And it's going to take quite a lot of different measurements, including lots of photos. It's got a little light on there as well.
Yeah.
Tra Mi Ho from the German DLR Institute said it could not have gone better. From the lander telemetry, we're able to see that it separated from the mothercraft and made contact with the asteroid's surface approximately 20 minutes later.
I like that it said mothercraft.
Yes, the mothercraft.
Brilliant.
Hayabusa 2. Brilliant. Just
congratulations.
Hayabusa 2 is the space mission that keeps on giving.
Matt, you can't go wrong with a collaboration between the Japanese and the Germans. I mean, check that out. You've got the efficiency
and the
of the Germans,
and the serious
you've got
technology.
The technology and futuristic thinking of the Japanese. So I say, konnichiwa and V Gates do.
Nice. Coming up later, we've got more German stories in space in our space mission of the week. Congratulations to the Nobel Prize in Physics has been awarded to 3 people. One of them, a woman for the first time in 55 years.
About bloody time.
I know. Do you know what? I find that a little bit depressing, but nevertheless,
is.
Donna Strickland from Canada gets the award with her co-scientist, Dr. Maru, for their development of the chirped pulse amplification, which is a special type of laser.
Now, I want to know more about this, but firstly, congratulations, Donna. And congratulations, Dr. Maru.
Yeah. So it's found its way into things like cancer therapy and corrective laser eye surgery. But I was thinking, and the reason why I brought it up on the podcast, other than the sweet genius bit of the fact that stupid professor who said that women couldn't do science earlier on in the week.
Oh, God.
Which is a view that we do not hold on the podcast.
I mean, what a thing to say. What an utter bell end.
Yeah, just ridiculous. But I was thinking maybe this chirped pulse amplification laser could be used in nuclear fusion or light sails for interstellar travel.
Yes, Matt.
Yes. So I'm going to look into that. It's going to be I'm going to try and set up a Kickstarter.
Can we get them on as a guest, please?
While on the subject of ridiculous viewpoints from provocative people, I spotted Chuck Yeager and Jeremy Clarkson having an argument on Twitter.
Oh, God. Matt, I've already sworn enough today. Don't get me started on Clarkson.
Oh, man. So Clarkson's arguing with Chuck Yeager about the origins of the X1 project. I mean, like...
does he know?
He does realise that Chuck Yeager was the pilot of it, right? But I think Jeremy Clarkson was suggesting that somehow the X1 wouldn't have existed without British involvement of the Miles Corporation. And although... obviously, we like to big up the British involvement with things.
Yes.
That Twitter conversation quickly descended into the normal stupidity of, oh, the Americans were late for the war. You'd all be speaking German if it wasn't for the Americans. And it's just like, come on.
It's the only way
none of
he
you
can win.
When none of you were involved with it anyway. It's not like, come on. Anyway.
Exactly.
Congratulations to NASA, who was 60 on Monday.
Another 60th birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're all right.
Yeah, so Neil deGrasse Tyson is almost exactly the same age as NASA.
Yeah.
Spotted on the podcast here first. Although I'm sure Neil deGrasse Tyson hasn't let that one pass him by.
Definitely
pass that opportunity by.
Definitely not.
NASA have been up to things this week.
They have.
They've had to open up a inquiry about what's going on with the GOES satellite, number 17, that went up on March the 1st. Apparently there's something wrong with one of its instruments, which means it will miss out on 3% a year of the data. Oh. You think, is that it? But apparently that's a big deal.
It's quite a chunk.
That's quite a chunk, apparently, 3%. Plucky little Gaia is in the news again.
Ooh.
This is one of my favourite stories of the week.
Favourite story of the week.
That Gaia spotted stars flying between galaxies.
What?
So stars that have been maybe ejected from their mother galaxies and flying out.
Oh.
So
flying the nest.
Yeah, literally. But I mean, I think this is pretty surprising. But I mean, that's incredible. A star that...
Yeah, how's that possible?
Well, I guess it's interactions with black holes, because when a star goes flung towards a black hole, it might get flung out of the galaxy completely, or it might have been flung away by a supernova event or something like that. But it's scientists from the Netherlands. Of the 7 million Gaia stars with full 3D velocity measurements, they found 20 that could be travelling fast enough to eventually escape from the Milky Way. But rather than flying away from the galactic centre, most of the high-velocity stars spotted were racing towards it.
What?
They could be stars from another galaxy zooming right through the Milky Way. Now, what would be exciting? Imagine if there were a planetary system around those stars.
Yeah.
And whether you could actually survive, whether you could be a civilization round a intergalactic star system. It'd be the most exciting thing ever, because it'd be one of the only ways you could travel from galaxy to galaxy.
Imagine hopping over to another galaxy.
It's just incredible.
What?
So, yeah, that's one of my favourite stories of the week. Although there are other explanations, so more data is needed. But if that is true, that's absolutely incredible.
Watch this space, Matt. Literally. Setting its controls for the heart of the sun, the Parker Solar Probe made its first flyby of Venus.
Yes, that this week.
Super exciting, because we've spoken about this before.
Yeah, I wonder if we're actually going to see some pretty pictures from that.
I'm hoping so.
I hope so. But
Cloud City.
Unfortunately, this podcast has come out too soon for us to know one way or the other. But I'll stick it in the blog.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, do you know what space word of the week is?
No.
It's ullage.
Ullage?
Ullage.
Wait, do you mean the amount by which a container falls short of being full?
Do you know that from your wine drinking days, Jamie?
Yeah, I do. And I'm also a big advocate, Matt, of half glass full.
Oh.
You'll know it from my positive outlook on
you
life.
have got a very positive outlook on life. But in rocketry, Jamie, in rocketry, it means gap in the tank, because you cannot fill cryogenic tanks full because the pressure drop would be too great at engine start.
So you have to have a little bubble in there, do you?
You have to have a little, an ullage space.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the ground, the space between the top of the propellant load and the top of the tank is known as the ullage space. And the ullage pressure is a critical measurement during powered rocket flight. When you see rockets and space tugs in particular out in space, spacecraft themselves, now they're in weightlessness. So the fuel isn't kind of weighted down, it's like sloshing around the tank. So if there's ullage in the tank, then you've got to kind of overcome that. So what they do is have these ullage motors that start, and then the acceleration of the spacecraft means that the propellant gets forced back into the tank.
Oh.
And so, yes, that's
a bit clever, isn't it?
Yeah, so ullage motors, or sometimes your reaction control, are used to push this fuel back.
Ullage pressure.
Pushing down on fuel.
Pushing down on fuel.
No man has spoke. Nice. That's
really good. Really good.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
I was reading a magazine called...
Matt, you're not still reading them, are you?
Yes, Electronic Sound of all places. And I bought it because it had 50 great space songs, and I was wondering if they'd... It was really odd. I was looking up at the shelf, and I realised that everyone had copied our idea of having space songs, and lots of magazines had this space songs theme on the front cover.
Definitely being ripped off again, haven't we?
So I bought Electronic Sounds to see what their 50 space songs were and see if we had them on our...
And did we have any?
We only had a few.
Oh.
We only had a few. They were, and there was loads that I thought, oh my God, that's ridiculous that we're missing.
Yeah.
Like, the Byrds did a song called Space Odyssey 3 months before the film Space Odyssey came out. And it was based on Arthur C. Clarke's The Sentinel.
Oh, how did we miss that one?
I know. How is that not on our space playlist? But anyway, the story of OTRAG was in this particular... OTRAG was in this particular issue.
What's OTRAG, Matt?
It's about a documentary that's coming out this week called Fly, Rocket, Fly. Mit Machten zu den Sternen, which means with machetes to the stars.
Wow. Now that...
Or From the Jungle to the Stars.
Is an album title.
Well, I think From the Jungle to the Stars is the name of the album, the soundtrack album.
Yeah.
Which is going to be released on Bureau B, a kind of modern krautrock label. And it's going to feature songs by Chimera, like Skyella, and Miles Lampold-Schassen. So it's like
I love it. I literally want this on vinyl.
Yeah, no, totally. Imagine this on vinyl. This is going to be, you're getting that for your birthday, Jenny.
Yes.
A crazy mixture of adventure story and political thriller from Lauschbestenstreik and business thriller located between Fitzcarraldo,
one of the best films
Rord
ever.
and Fear, and Tintin on the Moon.
Have you seen Fitzcarraldo?
Yeah, obviously.
Unbelievable.
Well,
if anyone hasn't seen that, Werner Herzog, check it out. It's mind-blowing, to say the least.
But this could be really good. Fly, Rocket, Fly is a documentary by Oliver Schirm about the world's first private space company.
Oh, nice.
Long before SpaceX in 1975, there was OTRAG, the Orbital Transport and Rocket Corporation, with Lutz Kaiser, a Swabian engineer, who'd been dreaming of the stars since childhood. And his whole idea was low-cost modular space access.
I like this guy already.
Yeah, so you have to see these rockets and the rocket designs. They look like nothing you've ever seen before.
Wow.
And I had no idea about this story at all. OTRAG. It used to do things like use VW windscreen wipers as engine regulators. So it was all about using like off-the-shelf components to build rockets.
Sounds pretty eco.
Yeah.
All
Well,
for it.
in some ways. But
Apart from the rocket fuel.
here's the problem. Germany suffered a bit of a brain drain after 1945 during Project Paperclip, which we've talked about before, which is how Werner von Braun was spirited away with others like Kurt Debus, who was the director of Cape Kennedy. But both Debus and Werner von Braun were on this board of this particular company.
Oh.
Run by Lutz Kaiser. And they went off to the jungle in Zaire,
Right.
which at the time was run by the African dictator Mobutu Sese Seko. And it's now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, of course. But he gave them a piece of this, a piece of Zaire that was bigger than East Germany.
What?
And it's also, at the same time, they were doing things like Rumble in the Jungle between Cassius Clay and George Foreman.
That's right.
So, obviously, Mobutu was into these megalomaniacal projects. And this film is based around all the adventures of making this rocket work. Everything that was politically against it. So, obviously, people weren't that happy about Germans flying very dangerous ballistic missiles immediately after the Second World War, so that wasn't good. Also, Europe were now sort of trying to develop a European rocket, and it wasn't long after that ESA was formed and they started working on the Ariane project. So that was kind of one of the nails in the coffin of this project. But it's a really, really interesting rocket, and this looks like a great documentary.
You've got to look at the photos too. We'll put them up on the blog. One of these photos looks like something you'd see in a New York skyline. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's what it is it's instead of being made up of one big booster, it's made up of lots of steel pipes, just lots and lots of the same piece over and over again. So you just keep repeating the one piece, called the CRPU, the Common Rocket Propulsion Unit.
Yes.
Which is just basically a large steel pipe that's made from the same steel pipe that they use in pipeline construction, so it's really cheap. And it runs on a fuel of a sort of cheap version of kerosene, not the RP1 that is usually used in rockets, and an oxidizer mix of nitric acid and dinitrogen tetroxide. One of the tricks that they managed to get over was to make that burn stably by swirling the mixture. So I think that swirling of the mixture and being able to throttle it using a mechanical valve was the only kind of mechanical part of this rocket. So everything else was pressure fed by using Ullage.
Nice.
Yes. So that was all pressure fed. So it was extremely cheap, and you just scaled it up and you scaled it up. One of the things they had to do was buy some English Argosy aircraft, these ginormous double-hulled aircraft, because Lufthansa could only fly by regulation 1 litre of nitric acid per flight because it's so dangerous. And these aeroplanes were designed to carry 3 containers of 1,200 litres of nitric acid. So this guy Helmut Burchard helped build this massive complex, this spaceport out in the jungle. I mean, it's just incredible. And he just said, this project was the strangest and most useless in the ass end of nowhere. So it's like literally just crazy, crazy stuff. And eventually it kind of had the plug pulled on it because because of all the kind of political issues. Not before they went to Libya to carry it on, by the way.
Did they?
Yeah, they went to Libya and tried. Yeah, it's crazy. They went to the Congolese jungle. In the Congolese jungle, they had this the place where the spaceport was built is on a 500-meter high peak called Kapani.
Kapani, okay.
Kapani, and the Kapani means split butt, and it's because it's the way it look. Because the way it looks, it's kind of like two hills, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it apparently they think it's more to do with the fact that like walking to the top of it makes your bum ache.
Oh, I'm going to have to remember that.
Split butt.
Kapani.
And to some, it's considered the holy grail of like rocket launch sites. If you want to sort of find like a rocket launch site that's ridiculous, then you go there. We should do it. We should definitely go there. Giscard d'Estaing and Leonid Brezhnev of the French and Russians were not impressed, and they did everything they could to make sure that this project got closed down.
Oh, why?
Well, because they distrusted the Germans at the time. This wasn't too long after the Second World War, and that Germans had such a big brain drain, Jamie, that things like that they were helping develop the Europe rocket and things like that, but their bits were always the bits that blew up.
No, yeah.
Because they'd had this massive brain drain in Project Paperclip. So this was, they all went off and tried to do this amazing rocket thing using these credible parts. But yeah, and then went off to Libya afterwards. And the last launch of an OTRAG rocket actually took place in 1983 in S-range.
God, that's mad. That doesn't seem that long ago.
So yeah, in Northern Europe. Recently, they've been advising interorbital systems, and also Armadillo Aerospace have been taking a lot of the research and looking into how it all works.
We should definitely get someone from OTRAG on the phone.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, the rocket itself, for example, you've got these massive steel pipes all bunched together.
Yeah.
So for their very, very large sort of 10 tons into orbit style launcher, which would be apparently sort of 10% the cost of any other launcher of its type, you'd have stage 1, which would have 456 CRPUs. So these are these massive steel pipes, central units. Stage 2 would have 114, stage 3 would have 48, and stage 4 would have 7. So it just looks like an enormous, it's like a truck with scaffold pipe on the back. That's what it kind of looks like. Just absolutely enormous, but really, really, really cheap. The CRPU, 27 centimetres in diameter and 16 metres long. Quite a beast.
It is absolutely a beast. I need to read up more about this. I'm loving OTRAG.
Yeah, OTRAG is just absolutely amazing, isn't it? So yeah, the only mechanism on board was the throttling valves. Because the tubing was so narrow, you didn't have to have domed sections in between the fuel and just simple plates.
Matt, for your pleasure, I've just pulled up a picture of OTRAG's Congo launch pad.
Yep, there you are.
Look at that.
Split butt. Yeah, what an absolutely fantastic find that is.
Incredible
Thank you,
stuff.
Electronic Sound Magazine, for drawing that one to my attention.
Very, very much.
So, Jamie, we've now got an interview with Colin Stuart.
We have, and this is one that we've been looking forward to because he sent us each, kindly, a copy of his latest book, which is out today. Today's the 4th.
Yeah, it's out on the 4th of October. It's a beautiful book. But
what's it called, Matt?
It's called How to Live in Space, the Ultimate Guide to Your Future Life in Space.
And it's really good.
It's beautiful.
So,
it's beautiful.
Check it out. Some beautiful pictures in there.
And you can catch Colin Stuart with his TED Talks, his YouTube channel, and he's even got an asteroid named after him.
What?
He's got asteroid 15347 Colin Stuart for his efforts in popularising astronomy. Roll the tape.
Let's do this.
Écoutez. We're joined on the podcast by Colin Stuart, who is a very prolific astronomy author. Hello, Colin.
Hi.
Colin, thank you for doing this. We're all fans of your work. So we'd like to start off by having you talk about your new book, please.
Yeah, sure. So it's called How to Live in Space. And the idea was that with the way things are going, and within a few years, the idea of having space tourism and private citizens paying to go to space more regularly, what do you need to know if you're going to make those kind of trips? So it's kind of a survival handbook for your first trip to space. So just things like some of the basics, really: breathing, sleeping, eating, the classic going to the toilet, and also looking forward to sort of some of the places we might end up going to other than just languishing in low Earth orbit.
Is there anything that surprised you while you were researching or writing the book itself?
I think it was just reminding myself how quickly things had developed in the past. So, Robert Goddard's first liquid rocket in 1926 went for just 2.5 seconds and only went to 12.5 meters before it went into a cabbage patch. And yet within less than 50 years, we had a Saturn V rocket blasting people all the way to the moon. And so I think we just kind of stalled a bit after that and things slowed down. And so it kind of feels like we're starting again now. We have this resurgence. It feels like we have some extra momentum now with some of these private space companies knocking down the barriers.
Do you think it is that? Do you think it's the commercial space has kicked in and reignited the space race?
I think so, because I'm not old enough to remember the first space race, but you talk to people that are and who remember the Apollo missions, and they talk so fondly of it. And I don't really ever feel that we had that from a human spaceflight perspective for me growing up. Whereas things like the red Tesla sports car going into space, I mean, there are people that weren't, big fans of it. They talked it down, but I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit of a game changer, and that we might be heading in the right direction again.
Well, we're both fans of that one.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the dual booster landing was the sci-fi moment on that one.
Yeah, totally. I remember watching it and thinking, we're living in the future. This is incredible. And I think we'll look back on that day. I mean, in the introduction to the book, I actually use that as the sort of starting point and say, look, people might look back on that day. There's even a photograph of that, synchronized landing. May look back on that day as the day when everything changed again. We started to aim for bigger things.
Completely agree. It just did not look real. It was amazing. So, Colin, I've got a question about what your predictions might be for the future of space tourism in let's say, 50 years' time. If you had to hazard a guess, what kind of world would you say that looked like? So
I would say that suborbital spaceflight will be commonplace, and I still hold out hope that I might get to go on one of those trips. Not when it costs $200,000 a time, but in 40 years' time or 30 years' time, when I hit retirement, if the cost is something like $20,000, that's the sort of money people pay for a car, for a round the world trip, for a cruise. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. And then for the kind of upper level, we got the SpaceX kind of cruising around the moon idea with the Japanese billionaire in a few years' time. That sort of thing for the very well-off could be commonplace. I can't really see Mars being a place for space tourism in 50 years, but for a human mission to Mars in the next 50 years, I very much hope so.
Do you think the moon is where we should be concentrating our efforts now, or do you, like others, think that actually we've done the moon and we should really be concentrating on Mars?
I think Mars has to be the ultimate goal because we have done the moon, but there's a lot of sense in using the moon as a stepping stone to Mars, because the difference is quite stark in terms of safety. For example, you can get people back from the moon relatively quickly if there are problems. The communications lag between the moon and the Earth is a second and a half, whereas it's can be anywhere up to 20-25 minutes each way for Mars. So I think Mars has to be the goal, but using the moon to test things out to get us there is, I think, sensible.
So, with your timeline with the Musk and the Japanese billionaire going around the moon, do you really think it will be in the next few years, or do you think that really is overly ambitious?
I think everything with SpaceX is always kind of overly ambitious. They're kind of famous for sending out really ambitious timelines, and they never meet them. But they do meet them, just not as quickly as they said they would. So I think you've got to give them a lot of credit that they do get things done, but it's always takes a bit longer than they say. But that's good. I mean, they're aiming high, and they don't miss. They just take a bit longer to do it. So I think it will happen, but maybe not as quickly as they're saying.
And Colin, just off the back of that Dear Moon subject, which artists would you send up?
I think it'd be nice to send people that not a lot of people know about. Rather than sending around people that are already well known. But I think you have a real mix. I think you've got to be quite broad with the term artist. You can send up your traditional painters and sculptors, but to open that up to, I don't know, to opera singers or to singer-songwriters, or just to get a real broad span of the different ways of interpreting.
What about podcasters, Colin?
Yeah, or authors, perhaps. I know we're angling for the same. It'd be good. We'd love to have someone to kind of, audio as a medium is great, for radio and kind of picking up the sounds and of going around the moon. I mean, that having a kind of audio artist would definitely be worthwhile.
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
I mean, I suppose in a way a trip round the moon with a bunch of artists could even be more of an ignition, a touch paper moment than the booster landing that we were talking about earlier on. I suppose it could really ignite the whole space tourism movement. Would that be your view as well?
I think so, because you have a whole generation of people. No one has left low Earth orbit since 1972, and so you have a whole generation of people that have never seen anyone go any further than about 400 kilometers up. So totally, seeing people go around the moon, and also seeing people that are kind of everyday people, that aren't the highly trained astronauts. I think people will see themselves reflected in that, and that can only be a good thing for inspiring people, I think.
Colin, going back to the book, what was your favourite bit of the book?
That's a difficult question. I think just finding out what some of the kind of difficulties are for living in space. Some of the little things, like you can't have salt and pepper in powder form as we're used to them. You have to have them in liquid form because powder gets in your eyes, or even looking back at some of the historical stuff that I hadn't really looked into before. So I really like reading about John Stapp. I don't know if you've come across him before, but he's the US Air Force physician from the 50s who did these crazy G-force tests where he built himself this kind of car on a long track, and he'd slow down and really slow down. I think he went from 600 miles an hour to a complete stop in a second. And it meant that his body weighed the equivalent of 3.5 tons with the G-forces, just for a fraction of a second. But the fact he didn't kill himself. I mean, he broke bones, he lost teeth, he shattered his wrist. But he didn't kill himself. And so some of the sort of lengths the early kind of spaceflight pioneers went to give us the things, I guess, that we take for granted. That was something I hadn't looked into too much before.
Yeah, that really is fascinating. I mean, there is a sense really that nowadays people are risk averse. And do you think that risk averse side of us has prevented, like you said, we have stalled since the Apollo era? Has risk aversion been part of that?
I think so, in a way. I mean, I don't think we should be as risky as maybe some of the initial spaceflight missions were. For example, there was no real radiation protection for the Apollo astronauts. They were taking a massive risk. They didn't get whacked by a storm from the sun. But then maybe we have gone too far the other way. So if you talk to astronauts, current astronauts who've been to the space station, they are some of them are arguing for a lot more autonomy, because everything they do is very carefully stage managed by mission control. And their argument is, well, if we're going to go to Mars, where there is this inherent communications delay, we're not going to be able to follow instructions in a timely manner. We're going to have to be a lot more autonomous. And so, they've argued for, let's have a day on the space station where mission control is there for backup, but, we make our own decisions and have this level of autonomy. But by the sounds of it, mission control won't pallet that risk. And so we do need to be a little more kind of a happy medium between the two, I think. Sometimes we can be too shy at pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, well, you mentioned the ISS and that there's, I mean, that's one experiment straight away, isn't it? That hasn't been conducted on the ISS, and it's not long now till we lose the ISS for those types of experiments. Do you have any feelings about the way the ISS is going and whether it's going to get past 2025?
I think that comes down to current administration, particularly in the States, of whether they'll back it and whether they'll fund it. I mean, I think they should. I mean, why? It'd be a very precious resource to lose. But at the same time, it would be great if we could push it out a bit and we could have basically an ISS but around the moon, so that people could spend months at a time in orbit around the moon. And what would be really cool about that is that they could drive machines on the surface of the moon in real time. So you'd have, lunar rovers, but driven by astronauts from orbit. And the reason why they want to do that is because that would be the ideal thing to do at Mars. Because the real risk with Mars is if you land on Mars and take off again, with humans, that is so dangerous right now. Whereas having humans in orbit around Mars and then controlling machines in real time on the surface, that's a way to kind of push us up a notch on our way to colonizing Mars. So I wouldn't say scrap the ISS. It's been so good, and while it's serviceable, it seems crazy to kind of deorbit it and dump it in the Pacific like Mir. But that shouldn't be. We shouldn't sacrifice other things to keep the ISS going if it does come down to be a choice between. So I take
it from that you are a fan of the lunar platform, or whatever it's called at the moment, the Gateway.
The idea, of doing that, I think, as long as we don't divert resources away from the goal of Mars. I think if it's seen as a way of testing out technology en route to Mars, then I'm a fan. If it's the moon over Mars, then maybe not so much.
Okay. Colin, looking back at some of the people that might have inspired you as an author, what would be your favourite space book?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yeah, it's a bit of a horrible one.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. When I was that wasn't books so much when I was a kid that kind of got me. It was that my dad took me to a public lecture that Helen Sharman gave just after she came back from space. And I say in some of the public talks that I give, that was the first time I ever realised space could be a job.
Sure.
That it wasn't just something to learn about. It's something you can make a career out of. So, I guess less so books and more kind of Helen's public talk was what really kind of set the fire under me, I guess.
Incredible. What a person too.
Yeah, no, she's great. I managed to meet her at a function a couple of years ago and kind of collared her for 60 seconds. Because I know she gets it all the time. But I just said thank you for giving that talk and told her what I was up to. And she was lovely about it. So, she's brilliant.
Nice. Yeah, she seems like a very awesome person indeed. We've looked at mental health issues a couple of times on the show with one of our regular guests, Mars Nation. And is that something that you've covered a lot, the mental health aspects of space travel and the symptoms and maybe the possible cures?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I give my talk about the book and talk about future missions to Mars, I say that psychology, I think, is the number one hurdle we have to get over. It's not technology, it's not engineering, it's not radiation's up there, but I would say psychology is the biggest one because we just don't know what that level of isolation, particularly for a Mars mission, will do to the human psyche, because you haven't got Earth out the window, you haven't got Mars in the window either. You're kind of marooned on the way in a small area with the same people. And so recently, I've been working with Tim Peake on his recent book that comes out very soon, the astronaut selection test book. And as part of it, we spoke to a doctor who had spent time in Antarctica on the Concordia research station. I think that's actually the best analogy we have for Mars psychologically, because if you're on the ISS and you're in trouble, say you have a heart attack or some kind of medical emergency, you can be down on the ground in half a day and get urgent medical care. you're on Concordia in the middle of winter, it's so dark and so cold and so isolated that no planes can land and no one can get to you. So if you're looking at how that feels to be so cut off, I think that's the best analogy we have. But we still don't know. I think, as I said, psychology is the biggest hurdle for really long missions very far away.
Do you think about any potential cures? I mean, one of the things that we were talking about was an interactive pet. It was a pet seal that, meant that you had to sort of care for this thing, and it just made you feel like you were doing something for somebody else, that necessarily your problems weren't as big. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's been shown to help. Also, having something like some other purpose. So people have looked at tending to a small kind of herb garden on route. So you're cultivating things for your crew to eat, because most of the food you're going to have is pretty dull. But on the route, if you can supplement it with kind of fresh herbs and spices, being the one that helps to grow those things also can be very psychologically beneficial. But I think what might really help is some sort of cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT has been shown to be quite good. If you had some kind of AI interface, some sort of computer psychotherapist in a way that you could talk to, that would also help you up, if you like, on to try and keep your mood.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mood high.
Let's hope it's not going to go the same way as it did with Sam Rockwell on. Did you watch the film Moon?
I did. Yeah. No, we don't want to go that way.
It made me think then about analogues of different professions, like the Arctic. Has anyone ever spoke to nuclear submarine sailors? Presumably they're on a sort of similar mission. They're isolated for months on end, unable to go, in fact, completely out of communication. Has anyone sort of done those tests? Do you know?
I haven't come across that. That's a very good point. They are also very isolated. But I guess the difference is, if there was a problem, they could, let's say the whole crew came down with something, they could surface. Rather, otherwise everyone would just be wiped out. So there is always that fallback of knowing that if there was an absolute disaster, then you can surface and get out of it. Whereas the thing about Antarctica is that you're just stuck. There's no escape. But I've not come across any submarine stuff. Yeah, that doesn't mean that.
Because we have interviewed a few people who, have recreated what it might be like to live in quite close quarters, be it the moon or be it a trip to Mars, where they're, with the same people for months in the same sort of surroundings. But I think that ultimately all of them said that they knew in the back of their minds that it wasn't real. And that if they really needed help, that they were just, 10 minutes away from being okay. So that's got to be huge in terms of mental health. I just think, like you said, it's just going into the void. We simply don't know until we do it. We can just put measures in place, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it is the single biggest unknown. I mean, you can mitigate risks that you know about, but we just don't know, like you say, how it's going to feel to be that cut off and that isolated. So I think we're just going to have to do it and try and hope for the best and see if we can put some measures in place to help. But until we do it, we're just not going to know.
Yeah, I've noticed that you're bringing out quite a few books. At the moment you seem to be doing about a book a month, as far as I can make out. What's
It's been a crazy year. What's happened is that because everything has to be out for Christmas, it's every book I've written in the last 18 months has basically come out in the last 2 months in one flurry. So it does look like I've been, like steam has been coming off my keyboard. But no, it's been a crazy year to 18 months. But it's been a bit more spread out than maybe it seems.
Well, yeah, even so, even in 18 months, it's prolific. Once you've got these books and this book in particular out rolling in the wide world, what's your next big adventure?
So I've got a deal now for the next book, which I haven't really tackled in earnest yet, but I will be in the next 6 months or so. It's all about the sun. So it's looking at how even though it's something we're very familiar with. Obviously, every day we see the sun, we're warmed by it. There are so many things that we don't know about it, and actually, it's a kind of enigma at the heart of the solar system that we're still pretty ignorant about. And with the new missions like the Parker Solar Probe and then the European solar probe going up as well in the next couple of years, how that might change as we get more data on the sun.
Well, it's good that you're writing it now, Colin, because in 6 billion years, it will blow up and we just won't have a chance. So.
Yes, eventually the sun's going to come for us.
I thought I'd impress you with the one thing I know about the sun.
What advice would you give any of our listeners who are thinking about writing a book?
Give yourself strict, break it down. Be quite methodical about it in terms of your word counts. How long have you got to write it? And therefore, how many words a day should you be writing? And I think for me, otherwise you leave it all to the end and you kind of crams it all together. So for me, a writing day is 1,500 words. If I can get 1,500 words done, then I'm happy.
How many pages is that to the regular person?
Not that many. Probably a couple of pages.
This book is absolutely beautiful. I mean, with the illustrations and everything that's gone into it, makes the book look absolutely fantastic. Who do you work in with partnership to get all that, the look of the book correct?
So that's with the publishers themselves. But in terms of the pictures, they really take the lead from me. So when I submit my text, I also submit a whole list of picture suggestions. But the whole idea for it was to make it very visual, so that it wasn't just a kind of dry page after page. It felt more like a manual, like a how-to guide. So yes, it's a kind of back and forth between me and the editors of the book. But a lot of the picture ideas come from me, and then we work together to make sure it looks the way that we want it to.
Yeah, it's a beautifully done book.
It really is stunning. Yeah. We must advise you to go out and get this book at once. I assume it's available in all good online retail stores, Colin?
It is. You can find it. Yeah, you better find it in all the usual places.
When does it come out?
4th of October.
Oh, so tomorrow.
Yeah, by the time this podcast
is out. It's out.
So go and get it.
It will be in the real world.
Head over to Amazon or other online bookstores, I'm sure, are available.
Yeah, if you want if you'd like a signed copy, then you can go to my website and get one from there.
Oh, even better. What's your website, Colin?
colinstuart.net.
Thank you for joining us, Colin. That was really awesome, and we love the book. So, guys, please go and check it out. Perfect stocking filler for all you space peeps.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Colin, for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Really enjoyed that interview, Jamie.
Matt, do you know what? That was brilliant, and I think people will go out and discover a world of space because of Colin. Thank you, Colin.
Yes, actually, I totally agree. That just leaves us with Space Fact
of the
Week.
Nice.
Thanks. Here we go. The universe seems to be full of glowing gas.
Really?
Yes. So recently, some deep observations made with the MUSE spectrograph on ESO's Very Large Telescope have uncovered vast cosmic reservoirs of atomic hydrogen surrounding the distant galaxies.
Whoa. How vast are we talking, Matt?
Well, the entire universe vast.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
So yeah, it's everything is bathed in this atomic hydrogen that's glowing with Lyman alpha emission.
Sounds like some kind of STD.
Yeah, so nearly the whole night sky is invisibly aglow with Lyman alpha emissions.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And that's a really unexpected result. As one of the scientists said, Caspar Borello, he said, realizing that the whole sky glows in optical when observing the Lyman alpha emission from distant clouds of hydrogen was literally eye-opening surprise.
No doubt.
So yeah, just as something that I kind of vaguely don't understand, Lyman alpha emission is the glow that's emitted, the light that's emitted when an electron falls from the n=2 orbital to the n=1 orbital.
Oh, why didn't you say? Now it makes sense.
And yes, if you're an astrophotographer, Jamie, you know all about these line emission things because you can use special filters to get much better photographs. It's really nice. The astronomers who made the observations have tentatively identified what is causing the distant clouds of hydrogen to emit Lyman alpha, but the precise cause remains a mystery. So yes, the whole universe is aglow.
Let's have a really big patron shout, shall we?
Yeah.
These people make it possible for us to continue. Thank you so much to everyone that came to our 100th episode live show from the British Interplanetary Society. We had the excellent Mardies, the band. Thank you, Mardies. We had Alicia from Mars Nation. Who else did we have, Matt?
And we had Kate from the Planetary Society.
Absolutely incredible guests.
And yeah, we had an absolute blast. And genuinely wouldn't have been possible without the help from the patrons.
Yeah, exactly. And Matt, not only have we got our old school patrons who we know and love, but should we give a shout out to some of our new patrons?
Yeah, we've had some new patrons recently. We've got Hutch, Gary, Pete, Frank, and Rory joining us recently.
That sounds like a hell of a boy band.
It is. Actually, that is a great boy band.
Guys, thank you so much. Like I say, genuinely not mucking around now. It means we can continue to do this. So, thank you.
A special shout out to the legends at Skylon Level. Ready?
Skylon Level, let's go.
Skylon Level, absolutely amazing. They're always sending us some tips as well. So, here we go. Bob.
We have Darren.
We have Erin.
We have Catherine.
We have Julio.
We have Richard.
We have Jeffrey.
We have Justin.
We have John.
We have Kaylee.
We have Matt.
And we have Karel.
What a bunch of legends. Thank you so much,
Skylon
guys.
Level is the legends of legends. Thank you to everyone. And guys, thanks for tuning in, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What are you up to this weekend? Let us know online. You probably are following us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. But if you're not, where can people go, Matt?
They can go to interplanetary.org.uk and see the notes for the show.
Wait, did you say .org.uk? Yes, we did. We couldn't afford .com.
I have to say, if you just type in the Interplanetary Podcast into Google, that's it. That's all you need.
You'll just have to scroll through a couple of pages and you'll find us.
We're page 32. Page 32 on the Google search.
Well, guys, have a great weekend. Good luck to Conor McGregor, who is fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov this weekend in the Ultimate Fighting Championships. I don't know if you're a fan. I am. Good luck to Conor. Up the Irish. And let's go.
No, it's the worst. It's the worst. Bye-bye, Spot Cat. See you.